You know that feeling, right? You open up a dashboard, and you're just hit with this wall of charts and numbers. And instead of feeling informed, you just feel overwhelmed. Well, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to crack the code on how to design dashboards that actually work, turning that data chaos into a tool that gives you instant clarity.
And let's just kick things off with his quote from data visualization guru Stephen Few. He says, because of their poor visual design, most dashboards fail to live up to the potential this medium offers. And that just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? We've got all this incredible data, but we so often stumble at that final crucial hurdle, actually presenting it in a way people can use.
I'm sure this looks pretty familiar to a lot of you. This is what I like to call the data masterpiece. It's this visual assault of information, designed to look impressive, but in reality, it just creates this massive cognitive overload. Your brain is working so hard just to figure out what it's looking at that it has zero energy left to make a smart decision. This isn't a data problem, it's a design problem.
So how do we get from these confusing data dumps to real decision-making tools? Well, we're going to break it down into 5 key parts. We'll start with a core problem, introduce a super simple rule for clarity, then dive into designing for how our brains actually work. After that, we'll talk about the power of simplicity, and finally, make sure we're tracking what really matters.
Okay, let's dive right into our first section, the dashboard dilemma. Before we can build something great, we've got to understand why so many dashboards just don't work. It's a surprisingly common trap.
So what is a dashboard, really? Let's go back to that definition. The key words here are single screen, most important information, and in an instant. That's the whole magic of it. A great dashboard gives you the whole story at a glance. You shouldn't have to scroll or click around. It's just the vitals right there.
And here's where things usually go wrong. The data might be flawless, but the design gets in the way. People get caught up trying to create data art, these beautiful, complex visuals that are basically useless for making quick decisions. We've got to shift our mindset from decoration to communication, from flashy to functional.
Okay, now for what I think is a real game changer. Let's talk about a simple, powerful principle that can guide pretty much every design choice you make. Think of it as your North Star for building clear, effective dashboards. The secret can be boiled down to a single number, 5, as in 5 seconds. Now, this isn't just some random number I pulled out of a hat. It's a critical benchmark. So, what's so special about 5 seconds?
It's this, the 5-second rule. If you can't look at a dashboard and know within 5 seconds whether things are generally good or generally bad, that dashboard has failed. You don't need every single detail in that first glance, you just need the big picture. Are we winning or losing? Is everything okay, or do I need to dig deeper into something?
You know, applying this role totally changes your role. You go from being a data detective, sifting through clues and endless spreadsheets, to being a pilot in a cockpit. You're not searching for problems anymore. You've got clear gauges, and the warning lights only flash when something actually needs your attention.
So how do we actually achieve this 5-second clarity? Well, it's not about being some kind of design wizard. It's really just about understanding a few basic things about how our brains are wired. If we design for how people naturally see things, we can create dashboards that feel incredibly intuitive.
Think about it. When you look at a web page or a screen, your eyes don't just wander around randomly. Research shows they follow a pretty predictable path, often called the F pattern. We start at the top left, we scan across to the right, then we move down a bit and do it again. This means the top left corner of your dashboard is the most valuable real estate you have.
And we can use that to our advantage with a layout called the inverted pyramid. It's simple. You put your most important high-level numbers, your key KPIs, right at the top where the eye goes first. In the middle, you show trends, how things are performing over time. And then the bottom is for all the nitty-gritty details, the tables and filters for when someone wants to do a deep dive.
This all ties into these really cool psychological ideas called the Gestalt principles. They're basically shortcuts our brains use to make sense of the world. For example, the principle of proximity says we automatically assume things that are physically close together are related. And the principle of similarity means we group things together that look alike. By using these simple ideas, you can guide the user's eye and make your layout feel logical without adding a bunch of clutter.
All right, let's move on to our next big idea, which might feel a little counterintuitive at first. In dashboard design, less is almost always more. By stripping away everything that isn't absolutely essential, you actually make the data itself shine.
The legendary Edward Tufte has this brilliant concept called the data-ink ratio. It's a simple idea. How much of the ink on your chart is actually showing data versus how much is just decoration? Our goal should be to maximize that ratio. Basically, make every single pixel earn its keep.
So here's a perfect example of what Tufte calls non-data ink. Look at this thing. It's got 3D effects that actually make it harder to compare the bars, a distracting background image, heavy grid lines. It's all just visual noise. It doesn't add any information, it just gets in the way.
So, how do we fix it? We start erasing, systematically. First, get rid of those cheesy 3D effects in the background. Then, either lighten up those heavy grid lines or just delete them altogether. And you know what? If we put labels directly on the bars, we probably don't even need that y-axis.
And voila! Look at the difference. It's the exact same data, but now it's so much easier to understand. By getting rid of all that junk, we let the data be the hero of the story. It's clean, it's clear, and it's way more effective.
Okay, we've come to our final and arguably most important section, because you can have the most beautifully designed, intuitive dashboard in the world, but if it's tracking the wrong things, it's completely useless. This is the last piece of the puzzle.
This is so critical. We have to distinguish between vanity metrics and actionable metrics. Vanity metrics are the ones that look good on paper, like page views or social media followers. They might make you feel good, but they don't really help you make decisions. Actionable metrics, on the other hand, are tied directly to your goals. Things like conversion rate, customer acquisition cost, or revenue growth. These are the numbers that tell you if your business is actually healthy.
And to tie this all together, here's a handy, if slightly cheeky, acronym you can use as a final checklist for your designs. CRAP. It stands for contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. Use high contrast to make important things pop. Repeat your design elements to create consistency. Align everything to a grid for a clean look, and group related items together. It's a fantastic little mental check.
So at the end of the day, it's not about making pretty pictures with data. It's about building a tool that helps real people make better, faster decisions. It's about moving from decoration to decision-making. So the next time you build or look at a dashboard, just ask yourself this one simple question. Is this built for decoration, or is it built for decisions?